Good evening to all of you. Most Venerable Dr. Omar Pei, Sobita Thero, and the members, most venerable members of Mahasangha, Venerable Bhikkhunis, and my dear friends. Needless to say, I am very happy indeed to stand before you this evening to speak a few words, but not about the book. Although I am supposed to speak about the book, I must say I am hardly qualified to speak about the book, but I will speak a few words about how we see the liberation of the mind from a society's point of view. The liberation manual is a very timely work. I don't need to say that because the speakers who spoke before me spoke adequately about this. Now, what we must understand is that liberation of the mind or meditative practice is often defined or described as a very selfish attempt aimed at liberation of oneself. We try to liberate ourselves through meditative practice. I believe that is one reason why Western scholars like Friedrich Nietzsche argue that Buddhism is an antisocial religion and is a nihilistic religion because it focuses on individuals' emancipation and liberation. Why we allowed Western scholars to bring arguments like that is because we failed to speak loud and clear about social dimension of Buddhism. That is a subject we haven't spoken enough about. In fact, whenever I speak, Venerable Sirs, I always try to touch on this subject. I thought this evening also I'll speak a few words about the social dimension of meditative practice. Now, liberation of the mind or meditative practice is a universal need. Because through meditative practice, what we try to do is to free ourselves from hatred, desire, ignorance, prejudice, and fear. And these are the root causes of conflicts, what we see in the world. So the entire world universally needs meditative practice to free beings from hatred, fear, desire, greed, prejudice. And cultivation of the mind is about cultivating understanding, cultivating respect for one another, understanding each one's perspective, and respecting others' ideas. That is what we need to understand. If you see Sri Lanka as a country, Venerable Sirs, needless to say, we have deep-rooted conflicts in this country based on religious and social grounds and also historical grievances. Why? Because we have often misunderstood each other. We have often misunderstood and misinterpreted what we stand for as societies, as religious traditions, and on ethic grounds. Now, what we see in our enslaved or uncultivated or confined or subjugated mind are the differences, the diversity of the society. And we see this diversity as a threat, not as opportunities, because our minds are not liberated. We have narrow minds. When we have narrow minds, we fail to see diversity as a beauty, diversity as opportunities. We instead see diversity as a threat. Similarly, when it comes to religious reconciliation, in our country, we all know Sri Lanka is a multi-religious, multi-ethnic, multilingual society, and we have different religious and philosophical traditions. Chief among them is Buddhism, and Buddhism talks about overcoming suffering through mindfulness, and this book is about mindfulness. Then Christianity talks about forgiveness, love, compassion, and service to others. Hinduism talks about unity and interconnectedness of all beings. Islam talks about protection, justice, unity, and harmony. The foundation of all these religious traditions is the same. But we use different approaches, different languages, and different terminology to deliver the core message. But as Buddhists, we should understand that liberation of mind is not only for oneself, liberation of oneself, but also liberation of the society. And we have to ask ourselves, as meditative or meditation practitioners, if you are practicing meditation, whether we are taking that value beyond ourselves to the society. It is because that we have not taken the value of meditation to the society only that we see the country at peril. Then, how about economic prosperity? Now, the foundation of Buddhism is political philosophy. That's the foundation. The walls are the economic philosophy. The roof is the ethical society. Like in Kuta Sutra, Venerable Sir, Sila is the foundation. Samadhi is the walls. And Prajna or wisdom is the roof. And we are trying to build a roof in a building that has no walls or the foundation. So we cannot build this roof. Every time we try to build this roof, for the last maybe 100 years, we try to build this roof. Every time we try to build it, it collapses. Why? Because we don't have the walls, nor the foundation. So it is very important to understand that if we practice true meditation, if we understand the value of liberated mind and the perils of enslaved mind, confined mind, or subjugated mind, we will understand that stable society can be brought about only through a liberated mind or a collection of many liberated minds. Stable societies bring economic growth. Peaceful societies bring economic growth. Sri Lanka as a country has not achieved growth, prosperity, economic prosperity, because we don't have a stable society. We don't have a peaceful environment. That is because we don't understand each other. We don't respect each other. We don't pay reverence to other religious traditions enough. And we don't try to build bridges between ourselves, but we try to build walls instead. So that is the core message Buddha tried to give. The Buddha tried to give the society. My appeal to you is that we should not cling to just one aspect of Buddhist teachings, but we should understand Buddhism in its holistic approach. Political philosophy, economic philosophy, and the spiritual philosophy. Because the Buddhist teachings on political philosophy, political advancement of a country, the factors that are needed for political advancement of a country, economic advancement of a country, are very profound. And we haven't paid enough attention to these areas. So I would invite all of you to pay attention as much as you try to develop your mind. You have to pay attention to other areas of Buddhist teachings so that you understand the Buddhist tradition as a very holistic tradition. And then the leadership. Leadership also comes through developed mind. An undeveloped mind cannot produce a good leader. A good leader is a person who looks after the society as one society, who ensures distributive justice of economic resources, provide equal opportunity to people so that the society prospers, the economy prospers, and through that prosperity, political and economic prosperity, spiritual prosperity takes place. Without political and economic prosperity, in Buddhist teachings, spiritual prosperity cannot take place. So that is why recently the Colombo YMBA translated a book called Buddhism and Political Philosophy, written by an American professor, Matthew J. Moore. It was translated by, of course, my teacher, Venerable Raghuve Padmasiri. And in that book, Professor Moore asked the Asian society, you have such a beautiful political and economic philosophy, but what have you all done? Have you made use of this? Have you understood the political and economic philosophy in Buddhism? So, meditative practice is important. It's important for one's liberation, for your well-being, and it is important for the well-being of the society. That is what we need to understand. So, what is the message for Sri Lanka? As I said earlier, Sri Lanka is a country with deep-rooted conflicts. We still have scars of our past wounds, and we need to heal. We need to talk about this. We need to maybe seek truth, maybe through confessions, heal people's hearts, wounds, and we have to give leadership to that exercise. As Buddhists, forming the majority of our country's population, you have a duty. You have a duty to take the true value of a cultivated mind to the society. That is the most important thing. Actually, Aristotle said, I quote, everyone becomes angry, but to get angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right place, at the right time, and in the right way, is not within everybody's power. Only a very few can do that. Unquote. But in my opinion, only a liberated mind can achieve that. So with that, I wish all of you well. I wish all of you good health, and may God bless Sri Lanka. May the triple gems bless Sri Lanka. I thank all of you for this valuable opportunity.